Welcome back, friends. This is the Housing Houston podcast. I am your co-host, Kayla Ewald with First American Title.
And I'm Sarah Lerner with Realvest Property Management, and I am so excited about today.
So excited!
Yes, we have Rosie Holloway, who is an expert escrow officer. Say that 3 times fast.
Expert escrow officer.
Don't do it.
Okay.
I can't do it. With First American Title. So you guys, home base.
We work
together. Oh my goodness. Hi.
My mic.
Yeah.
Hello.
Kayla actually recruited me.
Well, yeah. What happened? That was three and a half years ago.
3.5 years ago.
Okay.
I was in Home Depot with my nephew buying fairy lights because that's what you do with 10-year-olds.
I love that.
And I think we literally bumped carts.
We did.
And I looked up and I saw your son, because at the time you just had the one, and I was like, I recognize that baby. and then I looked up and it was you.
She did not recognize me because it was on a weekend, and I do not look the same.
So does your baby get credit for that recruitment?
Yeah, Jake gets credit.
Really?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because we're Facebook friends and you post a lot of pictures of, well, now you have both, but at the time, Jake, and I was like, I recognize that kid. And I looked up and I was like, oh my gosh, it's Kayla. Hi.
I loved it. Loved every moment.
Yeah.
It was definitely a God moment for sure.
Yes. And
so,
then we
go
have
ahead.
the same anniversary.
Yep. We have the same anniversary for work.
5 years apart.
Yeah. March 14th. Crazy. It
Crazy.
all
Friday.
happened how it was supposed to.
Yeah.
So before getting into title, which everybody wants to be in title, it is so fun. Okay. And we deal with a lot of crazy situations. What did you do before you switched over?
So I was an executive assistant for a team, real estate team, yes, which is kind of like a general statement to say transaction coordinator, listing coordinator, social media manager, all the things, all the hats. So I worked for a team that had 3 to 4 agents, and I had a transaction coordinator under me, and I did that for about 4.5 years. And then I came to title.
I love it. So how was it transitioning over from that side to the title side? Is it a lot different, or were you happy to have that experience coming into the processing side of things?
Yeah, it was definitely good to have the experience, because when I came over to title, I was able to compartmentalize things in my brain, the part of my job over here is the same as this, and that part of my old job is the same as this. So it was definitely not an even transfer, because there's things you have to learn, but it was not as difficult as it would have been just coming into title. And then I will say, all of my favorite parts about real estate are in title, and a lot of the things I didn't like about my previous position, I don't have to worry about anymore.
So I was going to ask if that was sarcasm, because I couldn't figure it out at first, but you mean that?
I mean that. Yes.
Okay.
All the things that I loved about, all the things I love about working in real estate, I get to practice more in title. And the things that I didn't really enjoy about working for a real estate team, I don't have those anymore.
Well,
which is great.
I mean, working with you, you're super organized, super customer service oriented. You do. I could see you thriving in either role. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think I love working with you as a title agent for those reasons, because especially as realtors, we are looking for people who complement what we do and hold the same values. And I think, that's what makes you so awesome.
And I think it says a lot when you walked in here, you were like, oh, Rosie, I owe you a call back. On one of y'all's files, because usually
it's the other way around. And I'm like, why are these people doing this?
Yes, I haven't heard from title. I haven't gotten an email. So the fact that you come in here and you're like, oh, Rosie's been calling me, I feel like that just goes to show how well you do with your job.
And I've been on the other side, and having been on the other side, I'm like, I get it. I know. I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly. So I get it. It doesn't offend me when people don't call me back. If it's urgent, I will call you again.
Yeah, I will find you.
Email, answer your phone.
Yeah.
Hey, give Rosie 5 minutes and she will find out everything about your life.
That is a true statement.
Yes.
That is Alicia had a file literally yesterday, and she's like, I can't figure out, this person passed 20 years ago, but they got married twice and divorced twice, and we're trying to find, and I was like, give me 10 minutes. We found the divorce. We found where he was buried.
where
was
he was
insane.
buried.
So that I sent flowers to your family. It's fine.
No,
The daughter and I are friends now.
Sonia
Yeah,
are friends. What?
Yeah.
Okay, so with that being said, tell the viewers, because we're catering to the consumers and real estate agents and investors, what is title? What do you do?
Why do we have to pay this fee?
Yes.
Is the question we
Is
always
the
get
one.
asked,
Yeah.
right?
And I will say, so for context, like I worked on a real estate team with 3 to 4 agents that went back and forth. I would say that a lot of newer agents don't necessarily even know what title does. They're like, oh yeah, that's where we go to close. But they don't know anything about what we do other than like we're the person who stamps and signs the closing documents.
They call us they push papers?
Yeah,
Isn't
the paper
that-
pusher.
The paper pusher.
Yeah, which like I'm proud to push paper. Like thank you, because that's a certified skill. Not everyone was made for paperwork. Yeah. But also what we do is we make sure that the incoming owner of the property has full and complete ownership of it. So if you were to go buy a house today if you were to go buy a house today, you don't want somebody to come knock on your door in 6 months and say, hey, I'm a contractor. I put this roof on a year ago. I need to be paid. Like we're looking for those sorts of liens. We're looking for clouds on title. If the previous owner, oh my gosh, I have one right now.
Tell us. I want to hear a story.
I'm hoping by the time this airs that this will close.
That's a great disclaimer.
Yeah.
So follow up in the caption.
Yeah. So I have one right now where this gentleman, he bought a piece of land, not through a title company. He bought it in cash, and it was vacant, and he subdivided it, and he built 6 houses.
Okay.
2 owners ago, who also didn't get title on the property, the woman's husband had passed. She has 3 kids. They didn't use a title company to sell to either owner, so now he's trying to sell these new construction homes, and he doesn't have free and clear title. We have a cloud on title from 2 owners ago.
And try explaining this to
Yeah. Because like
the owners that now can't sell. Like,
Right.
just try
Yes.
to
I
pick
hear
up the phone and
there's
say,
a
this is
cloud.
why.
I'm like, when will it be sunny again? Like what do we need to do?
And so I'm calling the
So tell me,
builder.
yeah.
I'm calling the builder and I'm explaining to him like, hey, like this gentleman who passed 20 years ago, he had 3 children. And the information that we have on this owner 2 owners ago, we don't have enough information to determine whether or not any of those kids are entitled to the property. Like, did they have heirship rights, and was there a probate done? All of these terms that he's like, I have no idea, because my husband didn't die. Right? Like, I got it 5 years ago. I built 6 houses on it, and I'm ready to sell them. And I'm like, you actually can't, because if any of these people come back, they could potentially have claim to the property. And so your title company's role is to make sure that none of that pops up, right? All ownership loose ends are kind of tied up. We make sure there's no outstanding taxes. We're checking for HOAs, making sure the HOA isn't due any money. There's no liens out there, crazy things like that. We had a crazy one.
Yeah.
We had a crazy one where lovely Sarah was trying to sell a piece of property, and her sellers were so sweet and so kind. And I think a Realvest? Yeah. So we had a piece of property that they were trying to sell, and there was a lien on the property. The lien didn't belong to our sellers.
There was an attorney, I'll jump in,
Okay.
who was a bankruptcy attorney and had basically filed what you call a lis pendens to say, don't sell anything that's associated with this bankruptcy. And she got the wrong house.
No.
Yeah, she got the wrong house.
She got the wrong address. Yeah.
She put the wrong property on the lien, and so
nobody's knowing who this person is.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, in this case, you just contact attorney and they file a release.
Yeah,
saying,
yes.
Rosie's 10 phone calls a day come in handy. You would think it would be that easy, but
It was
sweet attorney friend was not interested in helping. Because
Right.
we're not her client. Like, who are you? What are you doing? Like, let me make. And so what was a really silly clerical error ended up being, it could have been really bad because actually, and I didn't even tell you this, part of because it was being seller financed, we almost closed without title.
Yeah.
And the buyer, and maybe they told you, the buyer was like, you know what, on second thought, let's go ahead and get a title policy after all. We would have had no idea about that without closing with title. Just to save what? $800? Like, you know what I mean?
Very
so
fee,
silly. Yeah,
because
absolutely.
you have it for the entirety that you own the
forever.
property.
And it really would have been terrible when they went to try and sell, like, what then?
Yeah. Well, and sorry, go ahead.
So how long did it take to sell that one? And
That one was not that long.
She cleaned it up fast.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was definitely a team effort. Sarah was on it. The other real estate agent sent emails. I was calling. I was sending emails. And I think she just got sick of us. She was like, here it is.
Down. Yeah.
Yeah. So that one, I think maybe 2 or 3 weeks, not terribly long. This other one I have where we have potential heirs involved, he has been trying to sell for about 2 months. And so that one is trickier because we can't do anything. And there's always, like, our examiners are always trying to find a way to yes. But there's some things that we can't look past, because if any of those heirs do come back and say, ooh, this is my property, and they start filing suits or claims, like, the title company ends up on the hook or the seller ends up on the hook. And so our job here is to protect everybody.
Absolutely. So I have a question.
Yeah.
Because I've actually, knock on wood, never been involved when somebody does come back. But I'm sure you guys have seen that. So, like, tell me what really happens. Like, somebody comes back to file a claim and what?
So we have a claims department. And they can go through the claims department, file their claim, state their case. Claims department looks into it. If we can't solve it in the branch, they'll go to the claims department. If it's been closed for a while, they'll go to claims department. I will say once it's in claims department, we cannot touch it. So,
and how, often does this happen? Like, do you guys see a lot of claims? I'm thinking the answer is probably no, because you're so diligent on the front end, but I don't know.
Yeah, so I will say it's a completely different department. So we don't really get to see like the number of claims, but our state manager, examiner, she used to work in the claims department.
Oh, that's helpful.
Yes.
So she knows what to look for.
Yep. And so when we're trying to get things pushed through examining, she's very quick to say, when I worked in claims.
Once upon a time.
I'm like, we can't argue with that.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah.
But
we do love her. But, her goal is, because it's inconvenient to file a claim.
Oh, 100%.
Right? And so it's like, do we close it and hope no one will file a claim, or do we get it right and know that nobody will be able to file a claim? And so just to protect the future owner, because we don't want them to come back. It's inconvenient for them. It's a hassle. Typically, there's a loss of money involved. Like, we don't want that for our new owners.
And just to go back a little bit about the fee and having it for the entirety of owning the home, can you talk a little bit about, because we're an insurance company, so most insurance companies have an annual fee.
Right.
We are a one-time payment
One-time fee.
during that. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, so your title policy is regulated by the state of Texas. So the Texas Department of Insurance sets that rate. It's based on the policy amount. So either your loan amount if you're doing a refi or refinance, or your sales price if you're doing a purchase. And you pay that fee one time at closing, and it is good for as long as you own the home, because we insure the owner. So Sarah, if you bought a house and you got title insurance for Sarah Lerner on this property, you'd have it forever until you sold it, or if you moved it into like your company name, that policy would lapse. Yeah.
And I asked that question because it's the seller's title policy that we're clearing. We're taking everything from the listing or the seller, and we're making sure it's all cleared. So a lot of people think on the contract, seller should pay for it. But it's almost just as important for the new buyer to make sure it's cleared and done correctly, to where when they take ownership, they own it free and clear.
100%.
So that's where that fee is negotiable. And we get asked that all the time. Who typically pays for title?
Depends on the market.
Yeah.
Depends on the market, but it's very important for both.
Absolutely.
For both parties.
Absolutely.
Almost more important for the buyers.
I would agree.
Yeah, and I think the contract is worded seller will provide clean title, something along those lines. And so it really is the seller's responsibility to be able to provide clean title to the buyer. But it is definitely negotiable. And, I will say we get both sides. Like the buyer paid for it and they sent it, or the seller paid for it and they sent it. It just depends on the preference of the parties or the agents, or, who's going to be a good fit for that particular transaction.
Love it. So talking about the buyers, what are some of the things that they face once they get under contract from a title perspective? What can you give them tips, tricks, feedback on once they're under contract? Here you go, buyer. This is what you need to know.
Yeah, save my number. Save my number. I try not to pester, so to speak, the buyer seller directly unless I really need something. But when I am calling, I try to keep it short. I try to keep it concise. So please save my number. Typically with buyers, because we're also settlement, right? So we take in all the money and we pay out everyone. So typically when I'm communicating with buyers, it is very much about money, funds, wires, checks, things that have a large margin for fraud.
Okay.
And so if you're the buyer and you get a phone call from me, save my number, because my next phone call might be, hey, these are wire fraud preventative tips, or hey, I need you to pay for something so that we close on time, right? With the seller, I'm doing a lot of clearing of title, but with the buyer, it's almost always related to closing on time and your money. And so save my number.
I mean, yeah, wire fraud is huge, and you guys are right there in the crosshairs. So
Yeah.
I know I've had my email hacked that spoofed an email to a buyer and was like, hey, updated wire instructions. And it's like, no.
Yes.
So we
I
always
did
tell
not
them,
send that.
Yes.
call the title company and confirm the instructions.
Yes, we will never ask buyers to wire funds early. It makes us nervous. Like, we will not ask you to send funds until we know how much money you're sending. So I will never, ever send you an email and say, here's wiring instructions, send what you think is right. Like, that will not happen. So when I'm sending you an email that says you need to deliver funds to me, it's going to give you a dollar amount, and then it will say, if you want wiring instructions, you need to let me know. I don't just send them out to anyone freely. Like, we definitely want to very closely facilitate those wire instructions because there is so much fraud.
And I know you guys use secure messaging, which I think is a great tool as well. So okay, if it came through this portal, it's legit.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't trust anything else.
Yes. Yep. And we bank with First American Trust. Yep. So we don't bank with Chase Bank. We don't bank with Bank of America. It will say First American.
Should we Zelle you the?
No.
Okay, just making sure. Just making sure.
We have had
We
people
don't.
show up with cash.
I can
Yes.
only imagine.
Yeah,
And
we don't take
quarters.
credit
Yeah.
cards.
We don't. We
No.
don't.
Yeah. Certified funds. Yeah.
Yeah, so tell us some tips for the buyers coming in, earnest money, option fee, maybe even some things that might cause delays that they need to know about as far as closing goes.
As far as closing. So definitely make sure that you're sending your wire as close to closing as possible, but in advance. So if you are at my closing table, sending your wire from the closing table, there's a good chance it won't hit my account until a couple hours. And so that could delay your funding. If we don't take personal checks for closing costs, that one surprises people. And I'm like, this was a lot of money. Like, it has to be in certified funds, which is in Texas is wire or cashier's check. As far as earnest money goes, the number one thing I think I see with earnest money, people don't realize that personal checks have to clear. So cashier's check or wire is instant, right? Like, those are certified funds. But people drop off personal checks and they think the second they drop it off, like, good, done, I gave my money. And then we find out 2 or 3 days later that the check has bounced. There's insufficient funds.
Right.
And I have to make a phone call. And my phone call to the buyer is, I need you to bring me a cashier's check today, because you're now out of your period to bring me money.
So what does that look like? Is that good funds?
Yeah.
If they drop off a check that then bounces and now you're out of the 3-day earnest money period,
Yeah.
does that still act as if they dropped off funds during the earnest money period?
The contract says that the seller may terminate. And so my my first action is I'm calling you. I'm letting you know your check bounced. You're bringing me a cashier's check by the end of the day. If that is not going to happen, I have to notify the listing agent and the seller. Yeah. Like you get an opportunity to fix it. And if you don't, like contractually, like the seller needs to know. So
especially during the option period, because that's the consideration. So like if you didn't pay your $150 or whatever the contract specifies, then you really didn't purchase the right to have an option.
Right.
And so you could forfeit your entire earnest money deposit if you try and terminate the contract during that period. So it's serious. You guys are very important every step of the way.
I will also add one other thing for buyers and sellers. Make sure you have a valid government issued photo ID.
Yes.
So
Non-expired.
many times.
The expired. I've had people freak out like 2 days before. They're like, do you have a passport?
Yeah.
You have something.
Can you go get it renewed right now? I've had a gentleman do that. He came in, his ID was expired. He signed his documents, went straight to the DMV, and brought an updated, like,
copy.
his printout, right? And ultimately, it's up to the notary to decide if they're willing to take that or not. But he was able to get an updated ID, and then I think he was like, I'm looking for, like, my passport and all these other things.
Because usually you're moving too. So you're not like, let me just access my important documents right here. You're like, they're in a box.
No idea where it's at.
Yeah. So the DMV may be the lesser of two evils there.
Yes, that is true. I love this conversation. We are going to cut to a short break for our sponsor, and then we'll come back with Rosie Holloway.
At Lone Star Elite Painters, they believe your home deserves to shine inside and out. Serving Magnolia, Houston, and the surrounding Texas communities, they are proud to deliver a top-tier craftsmanship on every project, whether it's transforming your home's exterior, refreshing interior spaces, or giving your cabinets a flawless new look. Their team is dedicated to the precision, quality, and care with every brushstroke, treating your home like it's their own. They believe painting is more than just color on its walls, and it's about creating a space you're proud to live in. With years of experience, a passion for excellence, and a commitment to customer satisfaction, they are the local experts you can trust to deliver elite results that last. So if you are ready to boost your home's curb appeal or transform your interior, call Lone Star Elite Painters today. Texas proud, elite results. Visit LoneStarElitePainters.com today for your free estimate.
Okay, guys, we're back with Rosie Holloway with First American Title. She is such a delight to have on our podcast. We're so thankful that she took the time away from her desk and the closings. No, I'm just kidding. She time blocked very well to be here. But we're going to kind of segue into our real estate investors. We love our real estate investors. So what kind of questions do we have for Rosie about them?
So everybody's always looking for a deal, right? And one of the top places people like to look is the courthouse or auction properties. A lot of times those properties are coming up for auction and we have no information. It's like, do not go to the property. Like people may pull it up on Google Maps. That's it. Yeah. And then they've got this property. So tell me, just talk to me about that in general. Like what are some pitfalls and what are some things they can do that maybe make that not so scary?
So this is a pretty broad subject. I will kind of hit the top. I'll hit the top two. So depending on what kind of deed they give you, some of those have what's called a right of rescission. So to put that in simple terms, when you go and buy a property at the courthouse, the document that puts you in title is the deed. Some of those deeds have what's called a right of rescission, which means that the previous owner can come back and fix whatever it was they got foreclosed on for, and then get the property back. You and I had an email earlier this year from a gentleman who bought 3 properties at foreclosure, and he had them open with title company. He flipped them, and he had them open at a title company, and they wouldn't close it because the right of rescission hadn't expired on the deeds the county gave him.
Wow.
And so that is very true. Like title companies, we can't do anything about right of rescission. And so...
Is that different than somebody having first right to take ownership?
First right of refusal.
Okay.
Yes, that's different.
Okay.
That's different. So right of rescission is, let's say I own a property and I'm behind on taxes. The county forecloses on me and for taxes, and they sell it. I come back and through a very lengthy legal process, pay my taxes, make my reparations with the county. and they give me my property back. Well, the person who just bought it is now like, whoa, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but that's the long short of it.
Yeah.
And so a title company doesn't want to touch a property in the rescission period, because how can we give free and clear ownership when we know there's a very good chance or not a very good chance. How are we going to give free and clear title on a property that we know the previous owner could come back and claim?
And what is ours? 4 years? 2 years?
It depends. It could be 2 years. It could be 4 years. Just depends. It's case by case. You'd have to look at the documents. And I will say that in all my years of real estate, I say all my years, it's been 7 years.
It's been a long time. 7 years.
It's a long time.
We lived through COVID.
I've got some grays.
Yeah. 7 years in dog world is
A lifetime.
a lifetime.
Yeah. So I will say in all my years, I have seen one person use it, which means it does happen. And it was a pain. And we got the property after the right of rescission. So our seller had used the right of rescission to get his property back, and then he was going to sell it. It was a pain after that, because we have to make sure all of that was done correctly. And I will say that typos and errors on deeds and liens happen more often than we realize they happen, and the county is not quick to fix them. So if the deed was done with an incorrect legal description, trying to get a correction from the county is extremely difficult. And I just tell people, I'm like, we're gonna have to look for another option here.
Oh man.
Because it's a whole process. And so you run that risk when you buy properties at foreclosure, is that the prior owner could have a right of rescission, which means that a title company won't insure it for that 2 years or 4 years.
So let's say it was sold within the 2 years, and then they come back to try to take that property back. What happens? Do they file a claim, and then the title company pays out the price of the house to the guy that sold it that shouldn't have sold it?
I would be surprised if the title company even closed it. I would be surprised because when we pull the deed, when we pull the deed, it says sheriff's deed or constable's deed. Like, we all in title world, like, we don't like those terms, right? And so the second I see a sheriff's deed, I'm like, oh, this potentially went through foreclosure. Yeah. And so the second I see sheriff's deed or constable's deed, like, my red flags go up, and we probably wouldn't even close it within the right of rescission. So they wouldn't even get to the claims because they wouldn't close, at least not with us.
Okay.
And I say, I'm giving like a general guideline. I can't speak to every situation, but generally, like, if there's an active right of rescission, a title company is going to look at it and say, we can't give free and clear title on this. And if the buyer's like, well, I want to buy it anyway, we'll take exception to it, which means we're not going to insure for the right of rescission. It's just not. The second thing that I see when people buy properties at foreclosure is that there's somebody who's deceased in the chain of title. I actually, when I worked on the real estate side, had this one personally where he bought a house at foreclosure, and the reason it was foreclosed is because the previous owner died. He stopped paying his taxes. The county foreclosed, and they sold it. And so he went to go sell it, and he couldn't because the deed that gave the property to him from the county didn't come with insurance. And so there was this whole issue with heirs and laws of intestacy, and could someone come back and claim it? And so the title company we were working with at the time, and they didn't want to close it. So he ended up renting it.
He rented it
He
out.
put a tenant in it.
That's so hard.
So hard.
Because then are you just stuck? Like, I know agents always ask us, like, what can we do? What are we going to, can we not go through with this transaction? And I feel like our response is no. You can't. Yeah. I will give us a plug. First American Title, if you know agents, if you know you're taking a listing that might have a divorce situation, or taking a listing that might have a probate issue, what are some other things? You're taking a listing that just might not be your normal listing.
There's a lot of liens.
There's a lot of liens. Mm-hmm. Let's go ahead and open that early. As soon as you take that listing, send us the listing agreement. We will make sure we have permission from your sellers, and we will go ahead and open title, and we will get the title commitment back and see how long it's going to take and what all it entails, so that once you have a buyer, we can hopefully have it cleared up by then. If not, tell you to get with a real estate attorney to clear it up. So we have some time if we start earlier than once you're actually under contract.
Yeah. And that's a huge plug. I don't know if y'all even are aware, most title companies won't open title without a contract. And so being able to start early is hugely beneficial.
Yeah, because problems arise and we do need time, and our escrow officers need time. Sometimes they're working 40 and 50 files at one time.
You know there's a problem.
Yes.
And they're like, sorry, we'll address that down the road.
When we have all these parties involved, buyer, seller, inspector.
When everyone's going to be really mad.
Yes.
Yeah. And so when I worked on the real estate side, something my agent always told me, she's like, loans are so fragile. Like from the time you get clear to close on your loan for financing to getting to the closing table is so fragile, right? Like they can't finance anything. They can't open any credit cards. They got to watch their debt, to watch their assets. And so any title issues we can get cleared up before you get in the like fragility of a loan approval. Great. Perfect. Especially if you know that people have passed or you know that there's a divorce. I'm trying to think. Typically, once I open a file, I can look at it. I'm going to say that again. Typically, once I get my title search in and I look at it, I can tell you, okay, I think we're going to close on this date, or I think it's going to take longer. So I had one in January. We got the title commitment in. It was cash. They wanted to close in 2 weeks. We got the title in first week of January, and I called him and I said, this is not going to close in 2 weeks. You need to give me 60 days. And it was 60 days. But just being able to prepare people for that on the front end is really powerful. And they didn't know. They didn't open title early. They just took the contract. They thought it was going to be fine, and then it wasn't fine.
So you think if they would have opened 60 days prior to that, they would have been able to close in the 2 weeks?
Yes, like if they had given us 60 days in advance to work on it, they probably would have been able to close
in the
2 weeks. It was a tax issue, and if you've ever worked with the county and getting supplemental
You've
tax
said that
bills,
a couple times today.
like it's not,
They're not quick.
They're not quick. Well, and it's like you have to go through multiple departments and wait for the bill to come out, and they have the right to like protest the bill once it comes, or protest the value once it comes out, and then once they accept it, then they get a bill. It's a process to get tax bills revised.
I think this is also another reason why it's so important for escrow agents to have such good relationships with real estate agents, so that you can communicate about these things and figure out the best solutions. So what are some things that you pride yourself on being the closer that people should choose?
Yeah. Oh my God, that's like
brag on yourself.
Brag on yourself.
We asked.
Yeah. One thing I know is really important is real estate agents want to feel like their transactions are being taken care of, and so it's really important to me to let you know, hey, I think this is going to close. Like once I get the title search in, hey, I think this is going to close on time. I don't see any issues that are going to keep us from getting there. I've got you. Here's my plan, right? Or if we get the title search back in, hey, I'm seeing this. I don't think it'll cause delays if we do this. Or if we get it, being able to say, hey, I do see significant issues. Prepare everyone. So Gary Keller, who's Keller Williams, he said something at a family reunion years ago. He said, people don't, how is it?
People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
No, that one's good. That
was good.
I don't think that was him.
Yeah.
Is that him?
I don't know.
That's him.
I just thought I knew where she was going with it.
That's good. He said that people don't necessarily need to be in contact with you constantly. They don't need instant contact. They need instant information. And so
that's so good.
Yeah. So if you've already provided people the information up front, then
they'll leave
when
you
they
alone.
can't get a hold of you because you're in a closing for an hour, they don't feel panicky. Something else I do, I send out emails weekly-ish. I say weekly-ish. Sometimes it's more in a week, sometimes it's less. But I'll send an update, and I'll say, here's all my punch items, here's the progress of all of them. Everything I just talked about is attached, because I was finding that agents were coming in at the 11th hour to get their compliance done, and they're like, oh, I need the earnest money receipt, or I need the title commitment, and looking back in their email over the past 30 days and they can't find it. And I'm like, okay, I sent you an email last week with everything you needed.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the weekly emails. And I feel like it's also good just a recap.
Yeah.
Because sometimes verbally, I'm hearing one thing, you're hearing one thing, we're coming together to try to find a common ground, but then we hear two completely different things.
Yes.
So recapping things in the weekly email on like here's the status of the file. This is what we discussed.
Yes.
It's all kind of in writing.
And I copy the agents and the lender. I don't copy the clients on there because I want to give you an opportunity to make that contact with your client.
That's good.
But also, I'm very aware that with people who don't do this every day, if I'm just sending blanket emails like that, they can get confused or can incite panic. And then
Honestly, yes.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy when title companies will send a title commitment directly to the client, because then I get a phone call immediately after and they're like,
What
I
is
just
this?
got this 42-page document and I'm freaking out because it shows that there's a lien. Yeah, that's their mortgage. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Everything is good. You're buying a good house. Don't read that. Just
Yeah.
put it in your email.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we kind of have to
Yeah.
talk them back instead of just that, like, hey, here's what this is. Keep it for your records, but
Yes.
you're good.
Yeah.
You know.
And First American, we send out the title commitment to everybody automatically. It's part of our disclosure policy. And then I immediately follow it up with, hey, here's your title commitment. I did send this to you. This is real. You don't have to do anything else. Or if they do have to do something, this is what I need from you. So we're not just like sending out random documents to people and they're like, what are we doing?
Even as a new agent, I remember being like, what am I looking at here? Like, help.
Yeah.
And you learn as you go, like, oh, Schedule B, Schedule C, whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
just
Title
had-
talk every month. We go over
Yeah.
that.
Title talk, and I just had I feel like you're so good on video. Like, we really need Mariela to like video you saying, hey, I'm Rosie, I'm your escrow officer. You just received the title commitment.
Oh,
Call
that
me if
would
you have any
love
questions.
that.
She can attach that to the email
Yes.
to where they're like, oh, she's
that's
so nice
Rosie.
and friendly.
she's a
Yeah.
they'll probably think you're AI. They'll be like,
Totally
Rosie is
see
so
that.
cute. I love her.
Have you heard from
hilarious.
Rosie today?
Yeah. And then
We
you'll
need to
show
do
up at
that.
closing and they'll be like, you're real.
Oh, you're real.
Yep, it was me.
Or am I?
Yes.
goodness.
That's hilarious.
Okay, but I do want to jump back and talk about exclusions because
Yes.
that's a real thing. So talk about exclusions.
So exclusions are Schedule B of our title commitment. They are things that we don't insure for. So if there's pre-existing deed restrictions, easement, HOAs, like we are not able to give you free and clear ownership on those things because they existed before you own the property. If there is like a very tricky title issue, sometimes the parties will request that we move it to exclusions just for the sake of closing. And what that means is, and I'm going to use the example.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So we had an issue where somebody filed a lien on the property that we could all see was the wrong property. It didn't belong to our
Typo.
property.
Yep.
Right. And so the conversation came up of, can we move that to exclusions, which means we will provide title insurance on the property, but we're not insuring for that specific lien. So if anything does happen for that lien, you're not able to file a claim on it because it was moved to exclusions. I will say we don't typically like to do that. Obviously, our preference is to work everything out. I'm so grateful we were able to get it worked out.
Me too.
Yeah. Yes. So, but that's what exclusions means. And so people often ask about easements and
Mineral
right-of-way-
rights.
Mineral
so
rights.
talk a
yeah.
little bit about that because that is a big call. Like,
Yeah.
hey, we have mineral rights.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, we don't insure on those, but you know a little bit
Yeah.
more.
So we don't insure for mineral rights. We don't determine who has mineral rights on the property, anything like that. We're not, you can hire a landman, have them come out and do it, but title doesn't do it. If there's any mineral leases that are publicly recorded, we can pull those documents for you, but we can't advise on them because we don't know if there's an agreement that's not recorded. We don't know the current status of the mineral rights. If somebody, this is a really good one because you'd be surprised how many people don't know this about mineral rights. If you have mineral rights on your property and you want to keep them, you need to tell title. If you have mineral rights on your property and you want to sell them, you have to tell title because we are only, As far as we're concerned, we're only conveying like surface up. But if there are mineral rights involved, that needs to be noted on the deed.
Okay, so that's a call that I get. Like, I want to keep my mineral rights, and I'm like, okay, hire a landman, make sure
But
they're
also,
yours.
like 90% of the time, I'm like, you're in
You
a
don't have them.
subdivision. You don't
you
have
don't
them.
have mineral rights. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
You're not rich.
Yes. And
Try again at the next
Yeah.
place. I've got some
Yeah.
property for sale.
But we can note that on the deed before closing to where
Yes.
it does keep them.
But you have to know you have them, right? So if you're in a platted subdivision, you like probably don't have mineral
Yeah,
rights.
builder did not miss those.
No.
Yes.
But
Yes.
for example, a lot of times we'll see it like families own the land and it's rural and they've had it in their family for generations. And that would be, you might have mineral rights.
Yes, yes. And we need to know, you need to put it on, because there's a section of your contract, I think, that talks about it. It needs to be on your contract, and we have to put it on the deed. Otherwise, it's like they got everything.
Okay. So they would get everything.
It depends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It depends on.
If nobody claims them in legal documents, then
Yeah, because we just don't talk about them. We don't
Okay.
insure for them. So we really need to know if there's mineral rights.
Okay.
If people don't really think about it, I can't tell you, actually, I can tell you. It's been twice where we get into closing and the seller's like, what about my mineral rights? And I was like, what do you mean? Your mineral rights? Yeah, both of these happened when I was processing.
you're like, I'm gonna
You're
go
like,
get
I
Gus.
would never.
Yeah, let me go get Gus.
Well, Gus,
Please hold.
Gus was in closing, and the seller's like, what about my mineral rights? I don't see it listed on anything. And we're like, you have mineral rights? Like, what do you mean? It's not on your contract. Like, it's not, nobody noted it on the contract. It may or may not have been in the listing, but we don't always see that,
Oh,
and
for
so
sure.
if it's not on the contract and you didn't tell us, we don't know.
So what happened? Like, did you close or?
The first one did close.
Okay.
Both buyer and seller knew that the seller was keeping mineral rights, so we revised the deed really quick.
Okay.
And they ended up signing same day, finishing it, right? The second time, the buyer really thought they were getting mineral rights. And when they found out they weren't getting mineral rights, they decided to walk. And it was a really...
So they wanted
Yeah, and
all of it.
I think there was a communication breakdown.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Anytime we don't close.
Yeah.
There was a breakdown.
There was a breakdown. There was there was a language barrier. I'm just gonna say there was a language barrier, and so yeah, they completely thought they were getting mineral rights.
Yeah.
And Gus, who speaks Spanish, was like, "No, you're not getting mineral rights." They the listing agent has said she made it really clear that there were no mineral rights. The sellers are wanting to keep them, and the buyer's like, "Oh, well, we don't want it if there's no mineral rights," and they walked.
Wow.
And it was a really great property. It was I think the agent said there were a lot of visitors to the open house. It was a super great property, and the buyers just didn't understand, and it wasn't on the contract. And so we got into closing, and the sellers are like,
And why would sellers want to keep it? And do you know, or is that beyond the scope? I'm just
Why would they
curious.
wanna
Why would they
keep-
want to keep their mineral rights? Do they really think there's something there? Is what I'm thinking. Because I'm going, if there's oil under there, I'm gonna go find it now.
Why are we waiting? Why are we just gonna
just
sit
in
on
case
it?
one day gold appears?
Yeah, I'm digging that up right now.
Hey, I just always wondered that.
That's
Sorry.
so interesting because I'm like, what do you mean? Why?
I will
Yeah.
say in one of these instances, they knew there was oil under the surface.
Wow.
And they just kept it there. Okay.
I
And
guess
so they're
you
like,
need
we're
a
keeping our-
derrick,
yeah.
so maybe
Yeah.
Interesting.
They knew that there was oil under the surface. They knew there was money to be made, and they
Get
said,
the
so we're
oil
going to keep our...
now.
Yeah.
When your home is damaged by fire or water, it's more than just physical, it's personal. That's where Renew Medic steps in to make the process a little easier. They understand how stressful it is when your kitchen is disrupted. That's why their cabinet restoration process is built to be fast, safe, and minimally invasive. They remove damaged cabinetry fast so you can get back to normal sooner, support your countertop so you can still use your sink, dishwasher, or cooktop, and work efficiently to bring everything back to how it was. Whether they're restoring custom or standard cabinets, refinishing surfaces, or matching finishes and color, their goal is simple: to help you feel at home again as quickly as possible. You shouldn't have to face this kind of disruption alone, and with Renew Medic, you don't have to. They are here to help you rebuild one cabinet at a time.
Welcome back. We are back with Rosie Holloway, First American Title, with this great episode on Housing Houston.
I've learned so much already. But I want to know, what is something you see that maybe we don't see because we're not doing this job every day that you want to tell us about or we should know?
So recently, I'm seeing two kinds of liens that people aren't really aware of exist. And it almost always surprises people when I bring them up. And so they're becoming more common because of COVID-19. A lot of people did loan modifications. A lot of people fell on hard times. So the first kind of lien is a HUD lien. In COVID-19, when people were falling behind on payments, they may have done a modification to their loan. And this is not just for COVID-19. This is for any circumstance where someone falls behind on their loan. But let's say you are, $20,000 behind on your mortgage, and your mortgage company doesn't want to foreclose on you, right? Foreclosure is expensive. They want you to keep your house. They want you to pay your mortgage, but you're behind. And so there's these kinds of modifications that I call them HUD liens. But it's with the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. And what they do is they catch you up on your mortgage. So you owe your mortgage company $20,000. HUD is going to pay your mortgage company $20,000. And your mortgage company says it goes on the back end of the loan. And that is true. They file a lien on your property for the $20,000. It's interest free, which is great, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it's interest free. And it does go on the back end of your loan. And but it isn't quite that way. Like, people just think, oh, I'll make extra payments, which is kind of right. But what they don't realize is when they go to sell their house, it's an additional lien on your house. So you have your first lien mortgage and then this HUD lien, and you have to pay both of them before, out of your proceeds.
Is that what it shows up on the title commitment, as a HUD lien?
Yeah, it
Okay.
shows up as Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, and then it shows up as, however much it was. And I've seen them anywhere from like $8,000. I think I have one that's closer to $30,000 right now. They vary. And if you're a real estate agent and your client says, oh, I did a modification to catch up in COVID, have your title person take a look at their liens, because I've had 4 agents this past year who are like, oh yeah, they did a modification. They just changed their loan terms. And it turns out there was like a $20,000 lien they didn't know about. So the agent goes to run a net sheet and they're $20,000 off. And so the good thing.
That's not a good surprise.
Not a good surprise. The good thing about these liens is that they are interest free, and you don't really have to take care of them until you do a payoff or you're at the end of your first mortgage. So I will say, as far as modifications go, I don't feel that they're very predatory or anything like that. It is a good way to catch up on your mortgage and stay above water, and when you're in hard times. And they're very easy to get payoffs for. So people see them and they freak out, and I'm like, whoa, it's okay. If there's a good lien, they're good liens.
But honestly, that's something
Kinda
I
like
learned
the
new.
option.
Yeah.
I know. We have some clients that would probably benefit from that.
And then just knowing it going
haven't
into
been able
it,
to sell
that it'll be a
and
second lien.
don't know what they're going to do. And so
Yeah.
that might really be helpful.
And I remember a time where modification was a bad word, because
Absolutely.
you're like, oh, modifications are predatory and they change loan terms and they don't actually help. People just get more underwater. I personally don't necessarily feel that way with HUD loans, because like I said, it's interest free and you don't take care of it until you sell or the end of your first loan. So we see a lot of those recently because they were very popular in COVID-19. So now that we're coming
That's helpful.
out of COVID and people are starting to sell their houses
They're showing up.
post-COVID, they're showing up. I think I had 3 of them this month.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, when you're running a net
When you
sheet,
get one, you get 10. We all know about that.
Yes.
What's the second lien that you were talking about?
abstracts of judgment. So a lot of people think if you have an unpaid bill, the credit bureau, or not the credit bureau, excuse me. A lot of people think if you have an unpaid bill, the collection agency picks it up and they harass you and they send you letters and they might even send you emails, right? And you're like, okay, that's going to tank my credit, but I'm just not going to pay it and I don't have to worry about it, whatever. Many people don't realize that those creditors can file a case in the county and they can put a lien on your property. And so that I've seen those kill deals because they think that, they think it's messing up my credit. I don't care about my credit. I'm going to sell my house, make my money back, and I'll worry about it later. And then they don't realize, oh, that loan I defaulted on 5 years ago, it's been filed against me. When I sell my house, it has to be addressed. And so it was $30,000 5 years ago, but it's been accruing penalty and interest.
And what does that show up as?
It shows up as an abstract of judgment. Okay. Yeah. And now it's like, oh, it's been accruing penalty and interest. I not only have to pay the base, I have to pay penalty, interest. If there's attorneys involved, sometimes they want a little bit of extra. And you have to contact the attorney who filed it to get a payoff. Is the attorney still in business? Mm-hmm. Are they answering their phone? Mm-hmm. Are they responding to emails? So I've seen some judgment attorneys give me a payoff statement within like 48 hours, and I've seen some drag out for 5 or 6 weeks.
So is that your responsibility as an escrow officer? I know technically it's the seller's responsibility, but do you find yourself making the calls and trying to get a release or trying to get a payoff or doing all the back end stuff to get it cleared? Or do you say, hey, seller, this AJ is now on your property. Yep. Go figure it out. Come back to me with what you want to do. Pay it off at closing or...
Yeah, it depends. It depends. Sometimes I've had sellers who are like, I'm giving you full permission to just request a payoff from them, have them release it to you. I want to be done. However, I will not negotiate your judgment. I'm not like, if you ask me to request a payoff, I send a letter. I said, I'm looking for a balance. Here's my close date. Make it good through that date. Thank you. And if you're the seller, if that attorney is willing to negotiate, they may do it with you. And I always tell people that. I'm like, at the end of the day, it's a collection agency. Mm-hmm.
They want to get paid something.
They want to get paid something.
And that's taxes, the IRS, that's
HOAs.
Mm-hmm. So it's better for the seller to negotiate on their own behalf than get the escrow agent in to just take it for $30,000 what it is.
Yep. Okay. Yep. And I tell them, I say, if you reach out to them, have conversations with them, see if they'll negotiate, see if you can get that balance down, put some money back into your pocket. I need to connect with them at the end to verify how I'm paying them, make sure it's a legitimate payoff, and then ask them how they're going to release their lien. I just need to come in at the 11th hour and do the cleanup. But if you ask me to reach out to them, I'm not negotiating. I can't because I'm an impartial third party. I don't represent you. So I've had clients who go out and they get attorneys and they've like negotiated $50,000, $60,000 off of liens because they had an attorney handle it. I'm like, great, more power to you.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I wasn't going to do that, but I'm glad you found someone who did.
That's right.
Yeah.
This was fantastic.
I love it. We do this one every month.
So I think we are, unless you have any parting words.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. I
love you.
Thank you for coming. It was so good. I feel like I learned so much. I'm going to go look into those HUD loans, actually.
Yeah, good.
Mm-hmm. And thank you. And with that, we're signing off. Right?
Yep. I am your co-host, Kayla Ewald with First American Title.
And I'm Sarah Lerner with Realvest Property Management.
Until next time.
Next time.